My name is Rachel, and for most of my adult life, I thought I had everything a woman could want. A loving husband, 2 wonderful kids, and a home we'd built together from the ground up. Tom and I had been married for 13 years. We were one of those couples people looked at and said, "You're so lucky, you guys are perfect together." And maybe for a while we were. Tom and I met in college. He was charming, a little older, and had this quiet confidence that made you feel like everything would be okay as long as he was around. I was smitten. We moved fast, graduated, got jobs, got married, bought a house. We built our life like a checklist. There were arguments, sure, but we always circled back to each other. He travelled for work, nothing unusual there. He worked in logistics and had regional clients all over the state. That meant weekend trips, late-night emails, sometimes red-eye flights. I trusted him. I never questioned where he went or who he was with. He was the kind of husband who brought home little souvenirs for the kids and always called to say goodnight when he was on the road. And that's what made this all the more surreal. It was a normal Tuesday night. He had just flown in from one of his work trips and was unusually tired. He dropped his phone on the couch beside me and went upstairs to shower. It buzzed once, then again. It wasn't the usual text tone. It was a notification from WhatsApp. He usually muted his work chats, so this one stood out. At first I ignored it. I wasn't the snooping type. But the 4th buzz lit up his screen, and what I saw stopped me cold. A message from a group chat titled Home, with a photo of Tom, smiling ear to ear, holding a toddler I had never seen in my life. I didn't breathe. Another message popped up. "Daddy, when are you coming back?" "Mommy said we can go to the zoo this time." I didn't move. I didn't cry. I just stared. There was a woman's name at the top of the group, Melissa. The display photo was of her and the same toddler posing in front of what looked like a Christmas tree. And Tom in the background, in a sweater I had bought him last winter. My throat tightened, my fingers trembled. I opened the chat. There were months of messages, photos of trips, dinner dates, vacations. On the same weekends he told me he was working. Voice notes of him saying goodnight to his little man. One message burned into my mind. "I wish I could be with you both full time. She's just there. We barely even talk." She was me, and that's when it all changed. I didn't scream. I didn't throw his phone. I didn't even go upstairs. I calmly placed the phone back exactly where he left it. Then I stood up, walked into the kitchen, and poured myself a glass of water with the hands that felt like someone else's. My mind was racing, but I was oddly quiet inside. It was like a switch had been flipped. Something fundamental had just broken, and there was no going back. He came down 20 minutes later, hair damp, wearing sweatpants and his usual smug post-trip smile. "Hey babe, miss me?" I smiled back. I actually smiled. "Of course," I said, handing him his phone. "You left this buzzing." He kissed my forehead and sat down next to me, completely unaware, oblivious. I watched him scroll through his notifications. I watched his body freeze for a split second before he locked the phone and shoved it in his pocket. He looked up at me, searching, but I was already sipping my water like nothing had changed because I wasn't going to confront him. Not yet. That night, while he slept beside me like nothing was wrong, I lay awake and built a plan, quietly, carefully, like someone plotting an escape from prison. But this was more than escape. This was war. I wasn't going to scream. I wasn't going to beg. I wasn't going to let him twist this into some "I didn't mean to hurt you" narrative. I was going to ruin him. But on my terms, with precision. Because here's the thing, Tom had a secret family, but he also forgot one critical detail. I was the one who built everything with him. I handled our finances. I helped him climb his career ladder. I knew every password, every connection, every weakness, and now I had the fuel. He had no idea what I'd seen, and I intended to keep it that way, until it was too late. The next morning, I woke up earlier than usual. I made coffee, packed the kids' lunches, and kissed Tom goodbye like it was just another Wednesday. My heart was beating like a drum the entire time, but my face, calm, sweet even. He didn't suspect a thing. The second the front door shut behind him, I dropped the act. I pulled out my laptop, opened our joint bank accounts, and started combing through the past 6 months. Hotel stays, flower deliveries, charges in cities he wasn't supposed to be in. One Airbnb reservation labelled Weekend Getaway, Melissa and Jaden. Jaden. That was the little boy's name. My stomach turned. The timeline lined up too perfectly. Every client dinner, every emergency meeting, every time he said he had to fly out on a Sunday instead of a Monday, it was all her, them. He hadn't just cheated, he had built a whole damn life behind my back. A second life. And I had been financing part of it. That part made my blood boil. But this wasn't the time to be emotional. I was gathering evidence. Emails, travel receipts, messages from the group chat I had quietly exported to my computer. I took screenshots, organised them in folders, labelled everything, made copies and backups. Then I called my friend Lauren. Well, more than a friend. She was a corporate lawyer, smart as hell, and had been through her own ugly divorce a few years back. She picked up on the second ring. "Rachel," she said, "you okay?" "I need you to help me destroy my husband," I said, quietly. There was a pause, then, "Give me everything." And I did. Over the next week, while Tom went about his life like nothing had changed, I was laying the groundwork. Lauren connected me with a private investigator who specialised in domestic cases. I didn't need more proof of the affair. I needed hard documentation of how much of our money he was using to support them. And oh, did I get it? The PI was good. Within days, I had photos of him dropping off groceries at Melissa's house, picking up Jaden from daycare, taking them to a movie one evening when he told me he was in Dallas for a logistics expo. He had no idea. He was still coming home, kissing me goodnight, asking about the kids' science projects, sharing work gossip with me like he hadn't just tucked another child into bed 3 cities over. It was surreal. But I smiled. I played along. I waited. Because the revenge I had in mind wasn't about confrontation, it was about collapse. Collapse of the carefully woven fantasy world he thought he could keep hidden forever, and the timing had to be perfect. A few things you should know about me. I'm methodical, I'm patient, and I do not react. I respond when it matters. I started by scheduling a meeting with a divorce attorney, quietly. I didn't tell a soul, not even my sister, who would have driven over that night with a baseball bat and a bottle of whiskey. I didn't want rage. I wanted precision. The lawyer, a sharp older woman named Marla, was impressed by the folder of evidence I laid on her desk. "I've seen affairs," she said. "But this is calculated fraud. This is big." I nodded. "I want sole custody," I said. "I want the house." "I want him to never see this coming." Marla smiled. "Then you came to the right place." From there, things moved fast. Legal paperwork was drafted, custody strategy was laid out, financial accounts were documented and frozen where necessary. I opened my own bank account, transferred my paycheck, changed the passwords to everything with my name on it. Meanwhile, Tom kept texting Melissa during dinner. I saw him. He thought he was slick. But I had already installed a remote tracking app on his phone. I knew when he messaged her. I knew when he sent money. I knew when he promised her, "It's almost done. I just need a little more time." He thought he was laying the groundwork to leave me. He had no idea I was already gone. One Friday afternoon I left early from work. I picked up the kids and took them to my sister's place with packed bags and no explanation. I just said, "Don't tell Tom where we are." "Not yet." Then I returned home alone and waited. It was about 6:45 p.m. when I heard the garage door open. He walked in holding takeout in one hand and typing on his phone with the other. "Hey babe," he said, not even looking up. "I got Thai." I stood in the kitchen, arms crossed, silent. He finally looked up, saw my face, hesitated. "Something wrong?" he asked. I smiled, and then I handed him a manila envelope, served divorce papers, a financial audit, custody filings, and colour-printed photos of him kissing Melissa outside her apartment. He opened it. His face changed, dropped. "What the hell is this?" he stammered. "That," I said calmly, "is the last time you'll ever lie to me." He just stood there, frozen, gripping the envelope like it might catch fire in his hands. His eyes darted across the pages, photos, financial records, court paperwork, each one another nail in the coffin of the life he thought he was living. He looked up at me, pale, blinking like he'd just been hit by a truck. "Rachel, I can explain." I actually laughed. He could explain? What was he going to say? That Melissa was just a friend? That Jaden wasn't his? That the dozens of photos, voice messages, and receipts were all fake? "No," I said, still calm. "You can explain it to the judge." He stepped forward, reaching out. "Wait, Rachel, please, just let me talk. I didn't mean for it to happen like this. I was going to tell you. I raised a hand. "I know everything, Tom. I've known for weeks. I've seen every message, every transfer, every client dinner that turned into hotel receipts, every lie. I didn't confront you because I needed time. I needed to make sure that when I left with everything I was owed, and nothing you could take from me." His mouth opened, then closed. He looked down at the floor like a kid caught stealing candy. And that's when it hit me. The man I had spent 13 years building a life with wasn't strong or smart or even particularly cruel. He was just weak, a coward, a man who lied not out of malice but because the truth scared him more. I didn't feel sad anymore. Not really. I felt powerful. I watched him scramble for control. "Look, we can fix this, please. It was a mistake. I didn't mean for it to go this far. I felt stuck, Rachel. You were so busy with the kids, with work. Melissa made me feel alive again." There it was. That was the excuse he was going to go with. "You felt alive?" I said slowly. "So you created a new family? Lied to me, lied to our children, stole our money, and now you want sympathy?" He looked desperate. "I wasn't thinking. I didn't mean to hurt you." I stepped closer, and for the first time looked him directly in the eye. "You didn't hurt me, Tom. You freed me." I walked past him and opened the front door. "You don't live here anymore. Your things have already been moved into storage. You'll get the key once the divorce is finalized. Until then, you'll talk to me through my lawyer." He didn't move, just stood there, holding the envelope like it might somehow solve everything. I raised an eyebrow. He walked out. I shut the door behind him, locked it, and exhaled. For the first time in weeks, really exhaled. My hands were still trembling, but not from fear, from release. That night I didn't cry. I sat in my living room with a glass of wine, opened my laptop, and forwarded every piece of evidence to Marla. Then I sent a short, polite email to his boss, attaching a few documents highlighting his misuse of company funds for client entertainment that had nothing to do with clients. It was time to make sure he lost everything. The fallout was faster than I expected. By Monday morning, HR had launched an internal investigation. Tom was suspended pending review. Within the week, his corporate card was revoked, his passwords deactivated, and Melissa, sweet Melissa, had her LinkedIn updated with a status change. Open to work. I didn't lift a finger. I just let the truth do the heavy lifting. Word spread quickly through our social circle. At first, some of his friends tried to defend him. People make mistakes, and you don't just throw away a marriage. But then I released the screenshots. No commentary, just facts. Suddenly, no one had anything to say. Even his own mother, who had always treated me like a daughter, called to apologize. "I didn't raise him to be this kind of man," she whispered. "I'm so sorry, Rachel." I didn't need the apology, but it was nice to hear. What mattered was the kids were safe. My finances were protected, and I had taken back control of my life. He still tried, of course, begged to talk, claimed he missed the kids, that he wanted to make amends. But I had learned something. Some people don't change, they just get better at hiding. And I wasn't about to let him hide again, so I kept everything documented, every interaction, every request, every attempt to twist the narrative into something that made him the victim. I shot it all down. The last time I saw him in person was 3 weeks after I served the papers. We met at a mediation meeting required by the court. He showed up late, dishevelled, angry. "You didn't have to destroy me," he snapped. I leaned in, met his eyes, and said quietly, "You did that all by yourself." After that mediation, Tom finally seemed to understand that I wasn't bluffing. I wasn't the Rachel he thought he could lie to, gaslight, or run circles around anymore. I was no longer the woman who waited up all night for his flights to land. I wasn't the one who forgave late-night calls labelled as work emergencies. That Rachel had died quietly the moment I saw that WhatsApp message from his secret family. The new me? I was deliberate, I was calculating, and I was done playing nice. From there, everything unravelled for him. His job formally terminated him after their internal audit confirmed his misuse of company funds. Turns out, billing $400 dinners and luxury hotel rooms under a regional client meet doesn't hold up when your receipts say 2 adult movie tickets, large popcorn, and a kids combo. Corporate doesn't like being lied to, especially not with their money. He lost his company car, lost his travel perks, lost the trusted employee image he had worked years to build. Melissa? She stuck around for about a month, but when the money dried up, so did her patience. I heard through the grapevine that she'd packed up and moved back in with her parents. Apparently, raising a toddler while dating a disgraced married man with no job wasn't the fairy tale she signed up for. As for Jaden, I kept my distance. That part was tricky. He was just a little boy, innocent. He hadn't asked to be part of Tom's secret life, but I had to protect my own children first, shield them from confusion, heartbreak, and the chaos their father had brought into our world. I enrolled our kids in therapy. I told them as much truth as their ages could handle, that Daddy had made some bad choices, that Mommy still loved them more than anything, that no matter what, they were not to blame. They took it better than I expected, maybe because they had sensed the distance long before I did. Kids are intuitive like that. They see cracks before adults are willing to. Our home became quieter, simpler, lighter even. No more stress over Tom's travel schedule. No more hiding my anxiety every time he looked at his phone and smiled at a message that wasn't mine. I didn't have to play detective anymore. I had already solved the mystery. Now, I just had to live in the truth. The divorce was finalised in less than 6 months. Thanks to my lawyer and the thorough documentation I had prepared, I walked away with full custody, the house, and a majority of our joint assets. The judge had little sympathy for a man who had built a second household on the side and used marital funds to support it. He fought for weekends with the kids, but the court ordered supervised visitation until he completed parenting classes and showed consistent employment. Last I heard, he was working part-time at a warehouse and sleeping on a friend's couch. I didn't rejoice in his downfall, but I didn't pity him either. He made his bed, I just handed him the sheets. One of the most surreal moments came about 2 months after everything had settled. I was sitting on the back patio sipping coffee while the kids played in the yard, and I suddenly realised I wasn't angry anymore. Not bitter, not even sad. I felt free. People often think revenge has to be loud, screaming matches, slashed tyres, public scenes. But real revenge? The kind that sticks? It's quiet, it's methodical, it doesn't burn down your life, it restores it. That's what I had done. I'd taken back my peace. A few weeks ago, I got an email from Tom, just a few lines. I know I don't deserve forgiveness. I just hope someday you'll tell the kids I love them, that I'm sorry. I didn't reply, not because I wanted to punish him, but because I had nothing left to say. He had written his story. I had just turned the final page. The kids and I are doing well now. I got a promotion at work, took them on a trip to the mountains, our first real vacation in years, just the three of us. Laughter, photos, pancakes for dinner, no lies, no secrets, just us. And you know what? That's all I ever wanted. They say living well is the best revenge, but sometimes a little direct justice doesn't hurt.